And today I'm going to continue with my discussion on ring theory. The content of the subject is very large, and therefore the time span which is dedicated to this particular subject is very short. We used to learn about abstract algebra in the entire semester. So one paper was the entire paper was there, and we were actually in the year-wise system, so we actually faced no trouble. But in semester system, uh, in this particular syllabus, everything has been introduced. Graph theory has been introduced, abstract algebra has been introduced, mathematical logic has been introduced. There was no need to include graph theory in this particular course curriculum. Graph theory could be placed in another semester, but anyways, so since the syllabus is so large, so I have to dedicate times to each and every topic, and therefore uh, I have to skip a few discussions on relevant parts of the abstract algebra, but still some parts are there which cannot be omitted from discussion, and therefore today also I'm going to discuss a few things on ring theory, because when the examiner sets question, he, since do not have any connection with the question setter, we do not even know who the question setter is. So whatever he is going to set in the examination, we do not have any idea. So I'm just, what I'm doing, I'm looking here and there for the question papers related to Macaut, and I'm just seeing what sort of questions came, and related to that subject or matter, related to that topic, I'm discussing the courses. But that doesn't mean that, that everything has been discussed properly. So you have to study by yourself also. Okay. So my today's first discussion is on the definition, and which I will elaborate with by giving examples. So first of all, let us write the definition. Let R be a ring if there exists a positive integer n such that na is equal to 0 for all a belonging to R, then the least such positive integer is called characteristic of the ring R. And if there is no such positive integer, with the above property, then the ring R is said to have characteristic 0. So this definition and this concept is actually plays a very important role in the study of ring theory. First of all, let me talk about those sets where the characteristic is 0, and these are very easy to find out. For example, suppose we consider the set of rational numbers. set of integers set of real numbers and set of complex numbers. So all these sets are actually infinite sets, and if you keep on adding the element with itself, if you choose any element, be it rational number, be it integer, be it real number or complex number, if we keep on adding the elements with itself, there will never be such a case where for some positive integer n, you are going to get this particular property. This particular property is not going to be satisfied for these infinite sets. So all of these infinite sets characteristic is 0. Now, let me go back to the discussion of some finite sets where you can find where you can find the elements. You can find that for all the elements there exists such positive integer, and consequently you can find the characteristic of those finite sets. So the finite set which I'm going to consider right now is the following. It's a very well-known set. Several times it has been discussed. It is the set Zn, which is the set of integers modulo n. So I will discuss this in some details today. What is this particular set? Many a times we have discussed it, and when I taught you the congruence relation, I also discussed this Zn set, but today also it needs a discussion to understand to understand better, to understand the concept of characteristic in a better way. So Zn is the set of integers modulo n. What are the elements of Zn? The elements of Zn are as follows. So if I consider Zn to be the set, it will contain the elements 0, class 1, class 2, and in this manner class n minus 1. So these are the elements of the set Zn, and these classes, these are actually they are themselves the sets containing several other elements. So if we have this circle representing Zn, then this is suppose the class 0, this is suppose the class 1, this is suppose the class n minus 1. So and this classes are actually equivalence class. This modulo operation is the equivalence operation. So what are these classes? Let me discuss this in with some examples. Okay, for simplicity, to simplify thing, let us consider the set Z2. Let us consider the set Z2. Okay, now Z2 will contain only two elements, the 0 class and the 1 class. So what are these? Let us try to find out the 0 class. By definition of 0 class, we actually mean it contains those elements, those integers, so that these integers are equivalent to 0 modulo 2 or mod 2. What does it mean? It means it consists of all such elements in the set of integers, so that b minus 0 is divisible by 2. Why? Because whenever we write A equivalent to B mod n, okay, then this implies n divides A minus B. Right? Now, we can write this particular set as consisting of all such elements of the set of integers, so that B is divisible by 2, because B minus A is simply B, and this in turn can be written as all such elements of the set of integers so that b is equal to twice k for some integer k, for some integer k. Okay, now I'm writing here. So after this line is coming, and then this line, and then this line. Now you can substitute all the elements, you can substitute all the integers, possible integers in place of k. So if I put k equal to 0, so we get the 0 element. If we put k equals to 1, we get 2. If we put k equals to 4, we get if we put k equals to 2, then we get 4. If we put k equals to 3, then we get 6, and so on the positive side. If we get k equals to -1, we get -2, then we get -4, then we get -6. So this class 0 actually contains these elements. What does this mean? This means that, look at these elements, some of the elements. Now, some of the elements I have marked by arrowheads. These elements means, suppose 2. Now 2 is actually divisible by 2, means whenever we want to divide 2 by the number 2, the remainder is 0. Whenever I want to divide 6 by 2, the remainder is 0. Whenever I try to divide 0 by 2, remainder is 0. Whenever I try to divide -2 by 2, the remainder is 0. So in this particular class, there are the elements. All these elements have a common characteristic, that whenever they are being divided by 2, their remainder is 0. So therefore, this class is actually called the residue class, residue class or residue 0 class. It contains all the elements which, when divided by 2, gives the remainder 0. Now I am considering the divisor to be 2, because here I have considered n to be 2. Now if this n is not 2, suppose you are considering n equal to 3, then the set will become Z3. The structure of the residue class 0 will change then the divisor, because you are changing the divisor, so obviously the remainders will keep on changing. So this is the meaning. If I consider this to be the divisor, this is the meaning of the residue class with respect to the set Z2. Now we have understood what do we mean by this class 0. Let us try to, in a similar fashion, let us try to find out the class 1. If I apply the same definition, it consists of all the elements of Z, so that B is equivalent to 1 mod 2. This implies B belonging to Z such that B minus 1 is divisible by 2. And this implies all such elements of Z so that B minus 1 can be written as some 2k prime for some integer k prime. If I want to differentiate between this class 0 and class 1, we can use the symbol B prime over here just to distinguish between the two. Okay, just to distinguish between the two sets, because here also I'm using B and here also I'm using B. So some of you may become confused. So that will not generalize the situation. So therefore we can write it in this manner. So it consists of all such elements B prime belonging to Z, so that B prime can be written as 1 plus 2k prime for some integer k prime, or some integer k prime. Okay, now just like our previous way, we can substitute the value of k primes. So if I put k prime equal to 0, we get 1. If I put k prime equal to 1, we get 3. If I put k prime equal to 2, we get 5, and so on the positive side. And if we put k prime equal to -1, we get if we put k prime equal to -1, we get -1. Then we will be getting -3, and so on. So these elements, as if you can immediately verify that these elements are such elements which, when divided by 2, the remainder is 1. So suppose if I divide 3 by 2, then we will write in this manner. So you see the remainder is 1 by, and it also comes by the division algorithm, 2 into 1 plus 1. Okay. Now you cannot, if one of the students wants to write it in this manner, so 2, he wants to divide it in this manner. Okay. He write the answer to be 1.5, then it is not true. This is not true because I am not in the decimal system now. The division is actually the division of integers by the integers. So you just keep this in mind. You cannot do this division over here. So here the remainder is 1. So therefore this class is actually called the residue class. Residue, you can consider this to be the residue class 0, and you can consider this to be the residue class 1. And in Z2, only these two residue classes are present, 0 and 1. Now, if you want to verify this particular case, and if you want to check one another residue class, so let us try to find it out. Suppose I want to find the residue class 2. What will happen then? By the definition, it will be the elements of it will be the set of all such elements of Z, so that these elements are equivalent to the number 2 mod 2. And I'm writing briefly that this will contain all the elements of the integers, so that b minus 2 is actually divisible by 2. That is, there exists some integer k double prime for which this will happen. And if I try to write it in an explicit way, you will find that after substituting all the values, you are going to get the same set which we earlier got in case of residue class 0. So whenever we are considering Z2, Z2 is divided by only two classes. One is 0 residue class and another is 1 residue class. Okay, and it actually related to division algorithm, because you know, if the division algorithm says if the divisor is 0, the remainder is when the divisor, let me write it over here, when the divisor is 0, is 2, then the remainder r will lie between 0 and 2, and r is actually an integer. So there are only two possibilities, one is 0 and another is 1. So the residue class 2 is actually equivalent to the residue class 0. So only two residue classes are present in this particular set Z2. Now we have understood the elements of Z2. Similarly, you can play with the elements of Z3. You can construct the elements of Zn and so on. Now this Zn is a finite. We have earlier shown that Zn is a finite group. It satisfies all the characteristics of group. Okay, and this Zn is also a ring. Now, if we consider the element 0, class 0, I'm considering this to be the element. I'm using the word element because here the elements are itself classes. The classes are itself elements. So if I consider this class 0, you see that you can write this class 0 as simply this. And suppose I'm actually taking the class 1, and if I want to add class 1 with itself, then by the property of this operation that I have earlier talked about, that class A plus class B is equal to class of A plus B, we can write it as simply this, and this will become class 2, and class 2 is same as class 0. And this implies that 2 into class 1, that is equal to class 0. So now you look at these numbers 1 and 2. Okay, if I add class 0 with class 0, suppose if I write say for example, if I write class 0 and class 0, so this will also become 0 plus 0, this will also become 0. And if I add class 0 with itself many a times, this 0 is coming. but the least positive integer is this one. The least positive integer here for the element 0 is 1. N is 1. And here the least positive integer is 2. Least positive integer is 2. So you can call it M. So what we have found is that for all elements of the ring Z2, there exists a least positive integer. There exists a least positive integer in Z, okay, such that NA belonging to NA equal to 0, NA is equal to 0 for all A belonging to Z2. Therefore, the characteristic of Z2 is finite. It's a finite characteristic. Now, one thing, that there I have to make a kind of adjustment over here. Since 0 is the element, it's the 0 element. Okay. Now, if I write 1 into 0, actually this I actually do not have any meaning, because you cannot write 1 into 0 because 0 has not been added with itself. I have to give it a proper meaning, and this proper meaning can be given only if I do not consider this trivial case, because there is no logic in writing 0 as 1 into 0. Okay, so let us try to this particular part I have to do a kind of correction over here. For this trivial case, what you need to do that I have to add 0 with itself. Let us make it 0 plus 0 plus 0, and then you can call it 0 plus 0. Okay, but the minimum element will not be 1. It is actually 2, because I have to add 0 with itself at least once. So we can now, you can consider this to be 0. So here also actually the least positive integer will not be 1. This least positive integer here will also be 2. Okay, so because according to the definition, it says that you have to add the numbers. What is NA? NA means A added with itself n times. This is called NA. Okay, so I have to add the element with itself at least once. Okay, after that, that is a matter of checking whether I am getting 0 or not. Now, if I consider Z3, so immediately after, if I consider Z3, so if I keep on adding the number 2 with itself, immediately after addition, we will not be getting 0, because since the divisor here is 3, I have to add each of the elements 3 times at least. And so for each of the elements belonging to Z3, the characteristic will be 3. So here the least positive integer for 0 will be 2, not 1. For 1 it is 0, also 2. So for all elements of the ring Z2, the least positive integer, a least positive integer I must write here n. A least positive integer n is existing in Z such that NA equal to 0 for all A belonging to Z2, and therefore characteristic of Z2 is finite and is equal to n. And is equal to n. Similarly, we can immediately say that the characteristic of Z3 will be 3, the characteristic of Zn will be n, and so on. Here the characteristic of Zn is 2. Okay, n is equal to 2. So this is the meaning of the characteristics. The characteristic, I have given you two examples. In one example, I have shown you that there exists several sets where the characteristic is zero actually. You will not be able to get any such least positive integer for which this quantity is zero. And I have also given you an example which is a ring, and it is a finite ring, and its characteristic, it has some finite characteristics other than zero. Now, here is a problem for you. I'm going to solve this problem, don't worry. Prove that the characteristic of an integral domain is either prime or zero. Now, you I must tell you that this result I have seen in one of the question paper. Once Macaut has asked us to prove this particular result. That we have to show that the characteristic of the integral domain is either zero, prime or zero. Now, since we are not sitting for physical examinations, physical mode examinations, you are sitting for online examinations, then they will set the question in the following manner. They will write the question. You are going to get the question in the following manner. The characteristic of an integral domain is always prime, always zero, either a prime or zero. Cannot be a prime number, cannot be a prime number. Now see, when the question setter is setting the question, what he will do, he will try to find out these results which have come in the examination. Okay, and cleverly he can set this type of online question, this type of MCQ type of questions. So if you have not proved this result, and if you have not seen this result ever, you will not be able to do this kind of question. You will not be able to give the proper answer. I suggest all of you to, since I have already told you that what sort of questions can be asked from this particular big question, then this is the thing, this is the way. You can note it down somewhere. Why am I going to prove it? Is because this proof will actually remind you, will help you to get an idea that if the result is not known to you, how to find this particular result by doing a little bit of calculation. Okay, there are many examples. How many examples are you going to remember? It is humanly impossible. So therefore this proof is needed. I don't know whether you have got my point or not, but if you have got it, then okay, this is the thing. So let R be an integral domain. And by the way, here the chat box is open. You can put your attendance. Let R be an integral domain if the characteristic, I'm writing it in short, CH, characteristic of R is zero, then we have nothing to prove. We have nothing to prove. Okay, so we shall not consider this. There, if the characteristic is not existing, what is the motto? Okay, no problem. But if suppose the characteristic of the ring, this R is the ring. Remember, it is here R is ring. Obviously, it is a ring, but it is also an integral domain. And this is not a set of real numbers, because if I write the set of real numbers, I shall use this notation. Remember. So suppose characteristic of R is n not equal to 0, some number n which is not 0, then NA is equal to 0 for all A belonging to R. It comes directly from the definition. And since it is actually happening for all A belonging to R, so n into 1, that will also be 0, because 1 is the identity which is the member of the ring itself, and therefore this thing is actually going to happen for 1 also. And it is also true that m1 not equal to 0, because for any other m for any other m which is less than n, for any other m which is less than n. Why? Because in this case, if this happens, if m1 equal to 0, then this small n will not be the least positive integer. So our assumption will be wrong. The characteristic of R, we have treated it, this characteristic of R to be n. So if it is n1, the meaning of this particular statement, why have I written this particular line, is because you have to understand this thing also. Why have I written this line? I have written this line to make you understand that n is the least positive integer. Since I have not mentioned here the word least positive, therefore I have written here this particular long statement. If you want to avoid writing this long statement, then you can simply write that n is the least positive integer. Okay, so let me complete the sentence. For otherwise ma equal to 0 for all A belonging to R, which would contradict the minimality of n. Suppose n is composite. Suppose n is composite. See here also, again I have considered something which is which I'm going to contradict. Okay, the contrapositive argument plays a very vital role, as I told you in the course curriculum of mathematical logic. It also plays a very vital role. So suppose n is composite. So in that case, that is not prime, then n is equal to pq for some integer pq where I can see, students, I can see that a few minutes ago there were 35 participants. Suddenly the number of participants got to 40, it became 40, and some students just entered just to put the attendance. Remember, your CA3 performance is very poor, and if you keep doing this kind of thing, then your performance will not improve. Okay, so do not think that the teachers are not noticing. I'm noticing, but I do not have the time to talk about this, because this will kill my class timing. So but I can notice. I am not saying anything that doesn't mean that I'm not noticing. Just you are entering to give the attendance. If I want, then I can identify the students also, but I do not have this particular zeal to identify, because it is your life, you have to deal with it. Next time onwards, what I have decided, I will just lock the meeting. I will just lock the meeting so that you cannot enter after some time, after 5 to 10 minutes. First of all, after going starting up when after the class starts, I will lock the chat box. Before the end of the session, I will open it, but Meanwhile, I will also lock the meeting so that you people shouldn't enter over here. If you want to do the class, so be there from the beginning. There may be one, I can say that there may be according to today's trend, as I can see from the beginning, 35 students were there. Suddenly 5 extra students came just uh, uh, at the at 5th minute. Just five students. Some of the students are doing this kind of things. I know very well. Now see what I have written. I have written now P1 Q1 equals to PQ1, which is PQ is equal to N according to my assumption. So N1 equal to 0 because you have assumed that the characteristic of the integral domain is N. Since R is an integral domain, either P1 is equal to 0 or Q1 equal to 0, but none of which is true. None of which is true. None of which is true. Therefore, N can never be a composite number, and so N is prime. N is prime. This and also remember, if I actually in question paper, the examiner may be a little bit more cleverer. He can replace this word integral domain by the word field. So he can ask the characteristic of field, always prime, always 0, either a prime or 0 cannot be prime. So if I replace this word integral domain by field, then also this result, the same result will hold, because every integral domain is a field. Remember, every field is an integral domain. Every field is an integral domain, and therefore this particular result will also hold for field also. So you have to note it down somewhere. So whether I write integral domain or field, this result is actually very important, and you have to remember this. We are going to continue in the next session.